All right, you guys, are we live? I guess we are. Let's see. Let's get some water in me. See if you guys want to join. I'm going to be looking for anybody who wants to make any comments. I will be responding to your comments. And we can do this more regularly. We were just doing it for launch date, but I think this could be really cool as a community. My name is Felicia, Ballin and Bipolar. My book launched today. We actually reached bestseller a few hours ago on Amazon. You can go ahead and grab your copy if you haven't already. Share it with any of your friends or family members. It's Be Happy or Get the F Out. You can buy it on Kindle for a limited time for 99 cents only, or the paperback copy is $8. We couldn't do it at 99 cents for the paperback due to printing costs. So that's what happened there. But I'm happy to see you guys today. I'm happy you guys are a part of this community for anybody watching. Um, my first live this morning, I went through the manic episode with you. The second live today, we talked about more of the fall, depression, kind of my solution for depression. For the final, I think this is going to be my final live today at least. If you guys like these, and if you want me to do these more often where you can hop on, we can even find a time that works for most people, and I can do one once a week. And we can chat on here. So I think it's a cool way to kind of have a community of like-minded individuals. For the last live of the day, what I wanted to talk to you about is my favorite part of the bipolar life cycle, as I call it. It's thriving, and what thriving actually means is like, how do we get there? I came up with kind of my own formula of bipolar success, and what I believe is CIJ: confidence, independence, and joy. When you're working on those three things, that's when kind of the light comes back on. For me, when after I got diagnosed and all that stuff, I think at this point I think you know the story. But just to kind of reiterate: manic episode, hospitalized, lost, fall, forgot who I was, lost who I was, all that stuff. Took years to come back. The thing for me that, like, in hindsight, being 2020, what really helped me is I'm going to share with you kind of the path that I came out of everything and that helped me in those trying times. Um, I got a dog, and her name is Riley. I wish I have pictures over here for you, but Riley was a big part of me coming back. And what Riley did was she gave me purpose and a sense of independence. And in those two things, I had confidence again. So, a lot of the loss of identity that happens with bipolar is at the molecular level, we have lost our sense of value, worth, self esteem, confidence. But we've also probably lost a sense of self and independence because we're probably dependent on our loved ones, or we feel like we can't do anything without other people, or because at that time in my life I was just stuck at home. I was stuck next to my parents. I felt like it gave me mad anxiety to go out in public, to even to go to the movies at a matinee at 6 o'clock with the older people there. It was like that was still really hard for me, and I didn't do that until a couple years later. I hope this video is okay. It's kind of messed up over here. But I got a dog in May of 2010. This is about 5 months after the initial diagnosis. And I named her Riley. And she was wild. She was hyper all the time. She was crazy. She was a pit bull boxer mix. Beautiful dog. But she was mine, and she was my responsibility. And listen, I will preface this with, don't go get a dog if you can't take care of the dog. Don't go have a baby. Don't go doing stupid stuff. Use your mind. If you need to get a fish, take care of the fish, right? Like, use some common sense here. But at the time, I was physically capable and financially able to take care of this dog, and of course, I lived at home at the time, so my parents, anyway, they could help me. But she was my responsibility to train her, to make sure that she learned, potty train, all that kind of stuff. And that gave me a sense of purpose because I had to get out of bed to go let her out. I started bringing her to doggy like training once a week because she was wild. And that made me get out of the house. It gave me something to do. It kept me busy. She was like my companion in so many different levels. But on the bigger level, she gave me a sense of worth back because I cared about her, she cared about me, but she was my responsibility to make sure she had a good, healthy life. And I would take her to the park and I would take her places, and I had pride in my dog where I did not have pride in myself anymore, but I had pride in Riley. And so what that did was it gave me a sense of worth and confidence back, because when you have a tinge of one of those, is that the right word? Tinge? I don't know. When you have a hint of any kind of worth or responsibility or purpose, what that does is it brings you a little bit of joy. So in Riley, I knew I had joy. I wanted to be by her all the time. We were just homies. She saw me through the worst part of my life, and then she saw me thrive too. And what I love about dogs is, she didn't care if I was depressed, had anxiety, manic, fat, skinny, happy, sad. She was just there every day. And I get emotional when I talk about her, but I'm not going to cry on this live. I cried on my last live. I'm not going to do all that. Um, but that's what it was. So that's the key, is finding somehow some kind of sense of purpose in the mundane that is depression, right? So if you can find something, who can you go help? This is really about asking yourself the right questions. In different stages of your life, we're going to ask ourselves different questions. Now, today, I don't ask myself, how can I find myself again and all this kind of stuff. My questions are different because I'm in a different season of my life now. I'm a different chapter. Back then, it was survival. It was like, how can I feel okay every day? How can and listen, back then this was not structured. This was not intentional. I was not asking questions like, how can I have purpose? How can I go find independence? That's what's missing. Like, that's not what it was. I just know in hindsight 2020, that's what it did. And that's what brought the light. Like, that's what turned on the light again, if that makes sense. So what I think is so helpful is I have what's called a bipolar 4-square box to success. And you can download it. We've made it into like a PDF copy or whatever, but you can download it. If you get my book, you can download it as a free resource and kind of make it your own. And what I like about it is, so in box 1, it's kind of, it's stability. So stability is very multi-pronged. So when you're getting stable, there are many different levels to getting stable and getting level and like finding that kind of balance. Okay. So in box 1, in this bipolar 4-square box, if you can see, so it would be like box 1, stability. Box 2 would be gratitude and belief system, kind of morals. Box 3 is going to be CIJ, confidence, independence, and joy. Box 4 is going to be asking yourself the right questions. And I'll go through each box with you. So instability, box 1, that's like if you are just diagnosed bipolar, or if you're going through like a mixed episode or another manic episode, or you're going through, so the bipolar life cycle, there's like stages to it. And in my book, we talk about the bipolar life cycle, but the 4-square box, you go straight back to stability. So ask yourself, what can you do in your daily life to find more stability? So for instance, the box of stability would be, what kind of medications are going to work for me, my body, my brain? What holistic approaches can I take? Meaning, what kind of vitamins can I take to increase my energy level? What can you do for your body? I know one lady does yoga all the time, and it helps her kind of come down from mania because it helps her stay centered. That's what yoga is really for. Stability, I really like doing sauna visits, float visits. It just keeps your body calm and it keeps you focused and things like that. There's a lot of different things you can do with routine. Do you have a daily routine? That is freaking paramount. I've got a planner that you can buy. I think it's like $7, but it's a bipolar success, like productivity planner, and it kind of lines out your days. And this has to be a methodology. We have to be premeditated. If we are bipolar, we cannot go out here raw dogging life. Like, you have to be premeditated. And here's the thing, that is something hard to accept. Like, in the bipolar life cycle, it's like flailing is number 1. That's like manic episode, I'm flailing. Number 2 is the aftermath, where it's like depression, I'm angry, why did this happen to me? Number 3 is where it's like, I need to accept this thing, and not accept meaning let it just rule my life, more like accept the bipolar diagnosis to understand that you do have a problem that needs to be solved so that you can come in pre freaking meditated. That's what it's all about. You can't just go out here willy-nilly life and hope it gets better. We have to constantly have a plan of attack. I mean, I constantly have a plan of attack. Now, it's more natural to me when you're talking about stability, you can get overwhelmed by thinking of like all this stuff. It's baby steps, you guys. Like, first step, find a trusted doctor who can help you. Another first step, think about health insurance. You know, that's really helpful and can hurt you if you don't have good health insurance. That's something. I know a lot of people that struggle with health insurance, so they struggle to find doctors and they struggle to go to appointments. So that's a piece of it. Medications, to me, I am not a med pusher. Somebody commented one time and said, "You're a medication pusher." I was like, no, no. I take meds, and I'm not going to share with you the meds I take because it's not your business, and it's not my business to tell you what meds to get on. And at the end of the day, if you're not on meds and you have a good healthy life and you're level, rock on. If you are not level and you're up and down all the time and you can't hold a stable job, maybe try medication. Now, medication is so multi-pronged. It took me 2 full years to find the right meds, dosages. We switch things up. Like, it's a process. So respect the diagnosis for what it is, but know that it's okay. Like, don't fear, don't be so overwhelmed. Take small baby steps every day. Go slow with it. It's all going to work out. So meds, doctors, psychiatrists, therapists, that's all great. Then in the stability box, we're still talking about physical health too, because remember, physical health complements your mental health. So are we getting enough sleep at night, exercise, diet? Are we drinking enough water? What are we putting into our bodies? Are we doing drugs? Are we drinking too much? Because all that feeds mania, all that feeds depression. Drugs and alcohol are a natural depressant, and they're not going to help anything. So be aware, like, take a real good look at your life and be like, am I really feeding this disorder and making it easier for it to seep in, or am I fighting back? Now, if you're fighting back all day, every day, and you're still struggling, I get it. I was too. It's not a 24-hour fix at all. So with stability, we've got kind of the meds, doctors, holistic approaches, vitamins. Then we've got kind of the routine. What can we do every day to feel a little bit productive? Can you take a shower? So when I was depressed, I would go weeks without showering. It was so hard for me. It was like I was crippled. Brushing my hair was like a chore. It was awful. So ask yourself, do I live in a clean space? Can you clean your kitchen? Can you take out the trash? Do baby steps. So one thing every day where you can feel some kind of productive, which gives you a little bit of light, and it gives you a little bit of sense of self-worth too. Because if you're living in trash, if you're dirty, if you're greasy, you're dirty and greasy. You don't feel good, So take that into consideration. The next box I wanted to talk to you guys about was gratitude, and mindset is huge. So if you have the wrong mindset, if you live your world and your world is a glass half empty, okay, and you have a solid ass belief system that I'm bipolar, my life sucks, it's never going to get better, your life is never going to get better because you're always looking at the negative. You're not looking to get better. You're just there. You're just accepting that life sucks and you're looking for the negative. The universe is real, okay? The law of attraction, I really believe in. It's pretty crazy. It's like attracts like, and what you focus on, you create more of. So, for instance, if you can focus on finding the gratitude in your days, or finding one piece of beauty in your day, you're going to look for the beauty in the day. If you focus on the negative, you're only going to see the negative stuff that happened. Like, there was one day I had where I did not have a good day, but I was like I sucked in sales. I'm in sales. I sucked in sales. I lost a sale. It wasn't a great day to be alive, but for me, it was a great day to be alive because I wasn't depressed. And I looked at the glass like, at least I'm not depressed. Like, nothing's worse than that, like, it's fine. And so I think with that mindset, and I talked about this in the book too, is we as bipolar people can be so much more grateful for the mundane that the regular Joe just cannot be grateful for because they've never been so low. So there are so many people that suffer from major trauma, abuse, and loss, and all this kind of stuff. So I am not comparing, I'm not saying anything like that. But what I think is sometimes when you have suffered a lot, maybe more so than the regular person, or maybe you have suffered from depression or something like that. And think about this, when somebody says, how was your day? And they're like, just another day at the office. I'm like, shit, just another day at the office? I was happy as hell to go to the office because I didn't lose my shit. And I got there and I drove there in my car and I just sat at my little cubicle and worked all day. Just another day at the office. I wasn't depressed. It's a great day to be alive. Like, that's the mindset you can have on those not so bad days. So if we can find that mindset and switch that mindset, and if somebody asked me, nobody's asked me yet, but if somebody asked me what was the one thing that like changed everything, the flip that switched was when, because for a long time, for years, I was pissed, I was angry, I asked myself why me, I was on my pity pot, I was like, why did this happen to me? I don't get it. My peers are they're all moving forward and I'm not, I'm stuck, and why did this happen to me? And blah 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 blah. There was a moment, I don't know if I had talked to my dad, I don't know what it was, but it was almost like a flip went off, and I said, wait a second. If other people struggle too, there's so many people out there that have physical ailments, they've suffered loss, people have cancer, they have disabilities, other people have bipolar, other people have mental health illnesses. Wait a second. Why not me? I'm no more special than anybody. Why not me? And then right there with that one question, with that one mindset shift, it was, shit, why not me? I got to find a solution for this. And the doors open. I'm talking about the doors absolutely just open because I had my mind shut. And you can, if you can imagine like a prison of your own mind, being stuck in your own BS, stuck in your own brain all the time, thinking the same thing all the time, that's a prison. And I think a lot of people are in a prison, and we have to somehow break out of that prison and come in premeditated about it to break it open. And that's what it did for me. And so, gratitude, having some sort of gratitude, if you made it and you're listening to this today, guess what? You're here, you're alive, you made it. A lot of people didn't. And if you're trying to get better, a lot of people weren't able to get better. And so it's possible. If it's possible, that means if I can do it, anybody can. If the guy down the road, if my friend who's bipolar can do it, you can. We just have to know ourselves and we have to accept, and there's so many prongs to success. There really is. So I would say gratitude and mindset is a huge piece of the comeback season. Belief system. You don't have to be religious to have a form of a belief system. It's more about morals. What do you stand for? What do you not stand for? What are you going to put up with in your life? What are you not going to put up with in your life? You need to know that. Because what's that country song? If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Morals, belief system. So that's in box 2 of our bipolar square 4 box to success. The next box is my personal favorite, CIJ, confidence, independence, and joy. This is where we begin to kind of get out of it. So like this whole thing is, don't fear bipolar. It is what it is. Don't fear the what if. It's when. It's not if, it's when. It's going to happen. You're going to have a mood swing. You're going to have a little bit of mania. You're going to be depressed. It's how to get out of it. Okay. Just get rid of the fear. It's fine. It is what it is. You're bipolar. It's not the end of the world. And it can be detrimental if you don't have the right tools and you don't have the right mindset and all these things. But I'm here to tell you that I've been there. I've done that. Bought the t-shirt. Took that shit back. And here we are today. So confidence, independence, and joy. This goes along with purpose, worth, finding what my dog Riley did was that first beginning stage of like finding a sense of purpose. Because I had lost my identity and I felt so dependent on my parents. I felt that I was like a shadow of who I was, and before this, I think at the molecular level, when you feel confident and you feel independent, joy comes after. Like, Anybody that is like happy, anybody that has true happiness in their lives, they feel a sense of worth and value in themselves, and they feel a sense of accomplishment or independence, something that they can grab onto, which then brings them to joyful. Like that's it. Like that has to be it. That is the foundation, I think. So what I think is asking yourself those right questions. So confidence, independence, and joy, where can we start? Where do you want to find confidence in your life? Is there some place that you want to be a little bit better in your life? Or where did you have confidence before? Like I knew that I was a swimmer and I had confidence in that I was a really good swimmer. So going to work out after all this was said and done, when I started getting back into the gym, that gave me a sense of like I feel like myself again. Okay. So something like that. Are you a writer? Are you arty? Are you creative? Do you do crafts? That's not my thing, but maybe it's yours. Do you like horseback riding? Like find those things to give you a sense of like that worth back. Okay. Then the independence. Maybe right now you would be so happy to like fill your car up with your own gas money. I don't know. You might be young. Maybe it's paying your own car insurance. Maybe it's getting a little office job. Maybe it's getting a job, period, and being able to keep it for a year. That's huge. So a lot of people I know on these bipolar like groups and stuff, they talk about all the time, like, I can't hold down a job. And I'm like, listen, yes, we can. Yes, we can. We can hold down a job. It's a matter of us fighting and us trying to get level enough to be able to hold down that job. Now, I will say this, finding the right fit of a job is really important too, because I knew back then when all this happened, it was not my journey to be a server anymore. I could not do that. So first I got a little receptionist job. Then I got a job at a little dry cleaners that I worked at in high school. And it was just a little dry cleaner job, but I knew I like had my little job and I'd go to work and like it was, whatever. Then I think it was like 4 years later, I got my big girl office job and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I had my little cubicle. They had a break room. Like that was my thing. And that was like 4 years later. And I was about, I think 26 then. But for me back then, that was a big moment. So find those little moments, okay? What is it going to mean for you to find your independence though? Okay? Maybe it's going on a walk by yourself. Maybe it's being able to take a drive and listen to your song in the car, something like that. Something that brings you back to that happiness. And then joy. What brings you joy? Do you know? Like, do you know? Do you know what brings you joy? Do you know what you enjoy? Things like that. But finding confidence, finding independence, joy follows. So work on one of those three things. The other thing that I wanted to bring up that I completely missed, in the stability box, the biggest part of that is the diagnosis itself and understanding bipolar, understanding your triggers and onsets, how you become manic, why you might be depressed, things like that. Outside like influences, toxic people, bad relationships, and in stability box, it's finding solutions to mania and depression. So what is going to calm you down from mania? What are your steps to take? What is going to distract you enough to get out of depression? What do you need to do? Who do you need to go help? Make it about somebody else, not you. The sun does not rise and set on our ass. Bipolar is an explanation. It is not an excuse. I read that in a book one time. It's the best quote ever. Because it's true. People who are bipolar or people who have mental illness think like, this is it, and it's all about me. It can't be all about you all the time. For a time it is, for a time it's survival. But there's a time where we have to be able to distract and make it about somebody else so that we get out. Have you ever heard that thing, you can't see beyond your own bullshit? Or you can't see the forest beyond the trees? When you're depressed, you are in the trees. You are in your own bullshit. It's like it's in it. And don't get me wrong, depression is absolutely real. I mean, it is proven that depression does something to your brain to turn something off that stops all motivation. But the thing about it is that we can push past it. Like it's proven. I mean, you can push past depression and then that switch can be turned back on, but it's just harder for us because we have that imbalance in our brain. So don't get me wrong. Depression is not in your head at all. It is real. And a lot of people say that. There was a show, Orange is the New Black, and there was a part where a chick was really depressed, and he was like, "It's all in your head," and it's like, oh, that's not helpful. So absolutely give respect to this thing; it deserves it, but give respect to yourself because you can fight back. We can be stronger than this disorder ever was or ever will be. You take ownership of your life, and this is how. Now, fast forwarding to our four square box, or the fourth box in our bipolar success box, it's asking the right questions. So, in different seasons of your life, these questions are going to change. So, a lot of the time when you're having a terrible time or you're really depressed, it's ask yourself, how do I make this experience better? How can I see the bright side? How can I see the beauty in my day? Sometimes I was so mad, and it would be like, I'm going to see the beauty in this damn day. I swear to God, I'm going to see it. I'm going to find it somewhere. You know what I mean? Like if you just see the sunshine, maybe that's a piece of gratitude. Maybe if you see a beautiful flower, like make that something. That's not nothing. So focus on the good. Focus on the good. And I know there's terrible times happening in the world right now. And what I do all the time is I say my prayers, and that's my own personal thing. But that's a part of it. Like we have to be grateful for anything that we can find to be grateful for sometimes in the worst parts of our life. I believe that through the trauma comes the triumph. I mean, if you think about anything in your life, if you've made it this far, you've probably been through some shit. But ask yourself those right questions. How do I make this experience better? How can I see the beauty in my day? And then ask yourself, how do I distract myself? Who can I go help? Who can I make this about? How can I make this not about me? Why not me? That's a great question to ask. Other questions are, what can I go do today? How can I find joy? Where can I find confidence? Where can I find independence? How do I go about doing that? So it's like backtracking those steps. Then later on, once you're out of kind of the survival mode, then your questions might change. You might ask yourself, what do I believe in? That happened for me. I grew up Mormon and I'm not Mormon anymore. And that was part of my journey. I was like, I don't think I'm supposed to be Mormon. I don't really agree with this anymore. And that was part of like the searching aspect of my life. Then different questions. Then it kind of transpired to, what have I always wanted to do? What have I always wanted to do that I've never done before? And for me, it was traveling by myself. I wanted to take a road trip by myself, and I booked it. Okay, so Jen Sincero, You Are a Badass. I have it here all the time. My friend, okay, this is wild. Let me tell you all. Darian, my best friend Darian, she had sent me this book, You Are a Badass. And I'm not even a reader. Like, I listen to Audible books, but I did read this one. She sent me this book at the right time. That's the universe. It's like when you search for the right things and ask the right questions, like the things come. This time in my life, I was asking like, what do I want to do? Like there's something cool that I want to do with my life. And at this point in time, I had come back socially. I was level. I had a job. I had my apartment. Everything was booming in my life. But still, I was like, I want to do something cool, And for me, it was traveling. And it was traveling by myself. In this book, You Are a Badass, there's a part where Jen Sincero says something like, stop trying to lose the 20 pounds, go take the trip, book the trip. And I was like, all right. And I started booking the Airbnbs, booking my little map out. And what I did was, it was a 3-week road trip by myself. And I went to New York for 3 days. I went to Cape Cod. I went to Maine. I went down to Niagara Falls and then back home. And it was awesome. And now nothing crazy and life-changing happened on the road trip, but it was after. It was, dang, I did that. I was like, I did something that a lot of people who are very healthy don't want to do or couldn't do, which they could, but they don't want to do that. And I found so much confidence and coolness in that, because a lot of people were like, dang, you're going by yourself. And I was like, yeah, and I can't wait. I can't wait to do what I want, when I want, go wherever I go, all the time, nonstop, eat when I want, pee when I want, whatever. And it was awesome. So, and then after that, I was like, dang, if I could do that, I could do so much more. Now I solo travel all the time. But that for me was what it was. So, and Rachel Hollis says in her podcast somewhere, she said, you need to do something that makes you say, holy shit, I just did that. I never thought I could do that. And I did that because maybe it's not climbing Everest, but do something that you've always really wanted to do. Like you've always had that thing and you're like, oh, I couldn't do that. Yeah, right. That's not for me. Like freaking go do it. Go do it. Um, so that was a thing. Then the question became like, what am I supposed to do with my life? What am I supposed to, it's not this office job. Like it's not like my personality is my gift. It's talking to people. So how do I use that? How do I do that? And so then it became kind of career development. So then I got into sales and I changed my financial life. Now, don't get me wrong, I make a dollar and spend two, and whatever. We're all struggling some way. I'm struggling with money right now, per usual, but that's not the point of this conversation. The point of this conversation is I asked myself the right question and I got myself into sales. I was able to send my parents on a first class trip to Hawaii, and I was so prideful in that for them because, so I'll show you guys this tattoo on my inner arm is for my parents, a tulip for my mom, a sun for my dad. And that's because they carried me. If it weren't for them, I would be in an endless manic depressive cycle, homeless or dead. Like it was, so I wanted to do that for my parents. And I was so happy that I was able to do that. Then it became in working with my friend Allie, she was like, you have a story to share. You need to be a bipolar success coach. And I was like, what? I was like, you're the entrepreneur, not me. Like, no, I'm not doing that. Like, whatever. And then she planted a seed though. And I was like, I was like, maybe I should, okay, I can see that a little bit. And then I don't know where the thought came to me. I don't know if it was her or me or what, but I was like, I want to write a book. Holy crap, I want to write a book. And so that's where the book came. And so this idea popped up probably, 2024, probably 2022. I remember talking to my friend Darian about it, and she was like, oh my gosh, Darian's like the lifelong cheerleader. And so I started on the journey of writing this book. And then I got with this company, big idea to bestseller, holler at me, Jake Kilfer and Mikey and Adrian. They helped me outline the book and publish it and all this stuff. And so that's where we are today. In my daily life, I am thriving. I am working on my own business. I've got my podcast, my book now, and that's all fine and great. And I'm not trying to brag to you. What the point of that is that you can get there too. I was in a deep, dark hole, but I mean, I'm talking about fight like Mike Tyson in the ring every single day, every day. And you will find the beauty. You will the clouds will begin to lift. I promise you they will. I am not special. I am not special at all. I am sharing this with you because I know it's possible. It's a journey, it's a path, but just know that there's an end goal and there's an end in mind. If you're struggling right now, you do not have to struggle forever. You will not struggle forever. Tell yourself that. I will not struggle forever. No, I'm not going to do it. Make up your mind today. I'm not going to do it. Oh, and what I wanted to end this live with was specifically understand that if you are thriving, if your life is going really well, always remember to give respect to this disorder. Never get cocky. I do not take my meds right here every single day. I do not get cocky. Now, I might miss some days here and there. Don't get me wrong. I'm a human. But for 14 years, I mean, if you get cocky is when you can fall again. Okay. If you think everything's fine and dandy and maybe I don't need my meds or whatever your routine is, whatever your stability box is, if you lose that box of stability, everything else can crumble. Do not get cocky. Give the respect it deserves. Give the diagnosis the respect it deserves, but you fight back every single day. Take ownership, you guys. Respect yourself. Respect the diagnosis, but know that if you come in and fight like every day, like Mike Tyson in the ring, you can come back on top. There is a path to rebuild. I hope you guys get my book. What I'll do is if this community does grow, I can do these lives more often and we can kind of meet kind of like a webinar and we can ask questions. We can go through things that you guys might struggle with. I would love to hear from you guys too, because I can really formulate content around your all struggles and kind of what I would do, but I hope you guys are okay out there. I love you all. I hope you all are rocking on. Let's be balling with the side of bipolar.